Well, ladies, we are all storytellers and we do it every day. How many times have you rung your girlfriend or your auntie or your mum and said, oh my God, you'll never guess the sort of day I've had today? Have you? Put your hand up if you're guilty of that. Thank you very much. We all do it and we all use it to talk to ourselves, to program the stories in our mind, and to tell the story of ourselves to the world around us. So I'm going to tell you about me very quickly. My name is Monique Bradley, taku ingoa. I am, yes, a multi-award-winning actor, singer and entertainer. I have been a voiceover artist for documentary, for animation and radio, also the phone banking system for National Bank a few years ago. I am a specialist in educational entertainment. I've won awards for my work in the educational space, working with children and giving them good positive messaging. I am the MC for the food show that travels around New Zealand and the parent and child show, which is now called The Baby Show. I work in media, marketing and as a presenter trainer as well. I am a brand ambassador for depression.org.nz, the same campaign that John Kerwin does. My story's on their website as well. I've also been a brand ambassador for Woolrest Biomag. And I'm a personal empowerment trainer, so I help people amp up their own personal power through different language skills. And of course, as you can tell, I'm a storyteller as well. And I love stories, and that came from my parents. So I'm going to introduce you very quickly. This is my father and my mother, so this is Dad, Helena and me. The reason why I call them Dad and Helena and me, I had 5 half-brothers and a half-sister, and that's what they called them, so I just copied because I'm the baby. So that's Dad, Helena. His name is Monique Bradley, and they were both storytellers as well. My mother's still in Wellington. My father passed away when I was 18 years of age. So my Dad met Helena in the theatre. Helena grew up on a Māori pa down in Blenheim. You know, Māori communities are full of stories. It's amazing. And the story she was told by her mother was, don't marry any of those Bradley boys because they're trouble. And what happens when you tell a child, don't do something? Don't go over there, they go over there. So in this case, she didn't end up marrying one of the Bradley boys. She married their father. And yeah, and whiz, bang, boom, that's how I came along. So I was born out of the second marriage. So they met in the theatre, a wonderful New Zealand play called The Pahutakawa Tree, and they got together, they hooked up, and it was all game on. My father was a painter and paper hanger, he was an astrologer, he was a knowledge seeker like me, a storyteller, motivational speaker. He trained as a homeopath, a naturopath and an osteopath. He also liked painting beautiful art pictures as well. Helena had trained as a home economics teacher, so there was always lots of food in the kitchen. And as you can see over here, this is one of his appearances. It was a newspaper article written about him where he compared the Blenheim version of Woodstock. Yeah, so there you go. That's showing my age a little bit as well. One of the very, very important things, though, that he taught me was about, we were talking about electromagnetic frequencies before of our cells. You're probably all familiar with the fact that within our body we have electrons, protons, neutrons, and for some people there are morons in their body as well. This was an article actually written about my father some years ago, and I'm sorry that you can't see there, but I'll just point out here, my father went blind when I was 18 months old, and so of course he can't be a painter and paper hanger when that happens. So on losing his sight, he believed that one door closes, another door opens. And what it actually did was it enhanced all of his other senses. He had a very strong intuitive sense. And if you see here, tests from specialists revealed that I saw things that other people do not see in relation to energy flow from plants, trees, and people. Soon learned to recognise sickness vibration. Very interesting. Because he taught me that thoughts become things. Thoughts become things. So if you are familiar with the work of Louise Hay, for example, basically what happens is thoughts create an electromagnetic frequency. If you hold tension for a long time, it puts your cells into a state of disease, and that's how it manifests. That's what Louise Hay's been doing for a long time. This is what my father was doing about 40 plus years ago. So, here's a little bit about me. My father went blind. I was speaking in sentences by the time I was 1, which was quite unusual. However, I couldn't walk, and the doctors thought something might be a bit odd. I was already technically morbidly obese. I was a giant child. They thought something was either wrong with my brain or my thyroid. I was developmentally different. So very advanced speaker, but yeah, wasn't running, was barely crawling in fact. The medical profession thought I was retarded. True story. So I went to the hospital to have some tests. They put me in to have a brain scan. I came out of the brain scan, 18 months old, right? So I still have memories of this. I came out, the doctor looked at my mother and my father. Yes, my father was 6'3" and 21 stone. My mother was 5 foot tall and a size 20. And the doctor said this: elephants don't make mice. True story. Unbelievable, eh? Can you imagine that? Elephants don't make mice. What an incredible story and a true one. So, this was me at 10. I'm already an adult size 14, as you can see, pretty tall. My mother was just on 5 foot, so I was nearly the same height as her. Size 14 adults clothes. Now, of course, when I went to school, I was fat. I was the fat kid. The fat kid that couldn't run. I got bullied by teachers and I learnt the language of the intimidator from all the other kids at school. It was pretty nasty. First day of school I got pushed over onto a gravel footpath, scraped all my face, covered in scabs. Horrible. Nasty kids. I got called the Titanic. I got called the whale. I got asked if I'd eaten a tyre for breakfast because it was sitting around my midsection. Just horrific. So my beautiful parents, and this is my mum again, and my cousin Nicole, who's like my little sister, my parents decided, as they were building up their alternative healthcare business using my father's intuition and my mum coming in as a supporter, they decided to put me into performing arts. So I started professional speaking training when I was 8 with the vocal trainer for the Leishman brothers, if you remember them from radio and television. And that really helped with my confidence. To help with my physical strength and my skills, my parents put me into tap dancing. I really wanted to do ballet, but I wasn't allowed. No, so they put me into tap, because it's all about the sparkle and tap. And I also started singing training when I was 11 with a woman who trained under Sister Mary Leo, who was the trainer of Kiri Te Kanawa. So they did everything else that they could to help build my confidence and self-esteem because the bullies had taken that away. Sorry, I allowed the bullies to take that away. So this is me at 16. I was already about a size 18 to 20 here. I'd just won a public speaking award actually, which was really cool, and qualified to compete in a national competition. This is me at 18. Now, at this stage, because of all the ill feelings I had about myself, so I was still getting bullied all through college, even though I could stand up and sing in front of 700 other kids, no problem, had won massive awards for singing and acting, I had no confidence, and that came from the fact that I had no value. I could, when I got up and performed, I knew I could do everything the bullies couldn't. However, my inner sense of self was completely depleted. And at the end of the day, elephants don't make mice, so I've got genetics against me, pass me another donut. And that's exactly what it was about, or pass me some KFC. However, that wasn't really very good because my physical manifestation of my inner picture of myself reflected this very unhappy, very overweight, very obese girl. So at this stage, I was probably, just onto a size 20. So, we're going to look at how it feels to have your value defined by others' opinions and to be told continuously who you are, even if it's not true. And for this, I need 2 volunteers. And it will be fun, I promise. It won't be negative. So who would like to come and help me? You'll get a prize. Will you? I'd like you to come and stand over here. And you will. Thank you so much. Now this is a beautiful, just come and stand here, my lovely. This is a beautiful exercise I actually learnt from Jack Canfield, who was the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. So you, my darling, what's your name?
Anna.
Anna, nice to meet you. You, my darling, you are going to be a jackhammer. Okay, so I want you to think about a jackhammer, and I want you to put your hands in the right position, and I want you to show me the sort of, if you're a jackhammer, what's the sort of movement you're going to make? Oh, you do well. Very, very good. You, my darling, what's your name? Nice to meet you. You're going to be a seagull. Okay, so I want you to just come and stand over here. All right? And I want you to just put your arms out and just, even if you have to close your eyes, do it and just be that seagull. It's my acting training coming through. Be that seagull. Embrace your inner seagull. Yeah, just let it go. Just let it go. Let your arms out. Do you want to make a bit of noise, maybe? They're doing well, though, aren't they? Okay, when I point at you, you're going to do your action, okay? Are you ready? So here we go. Go. How's she doing? She doing good? Yeah. Very good. You're a natural jackhammer. Here we go. Over here. Are you ready? Go. Excellent. I want you to go in your character as hard as you can right now. All right. So what I want you to do is maintain that. And while you're maintaining being a jackhammer, I want you to see what it's like to try and be a seagull, and I want you to do the very same. So while you're a seagull, I want you to try and work to be a jackhammer. And go, ladies! Okay, you get the idea. Tell me, what is it like?
Restraining.
It's restraining,
Yeah,
right?
impossible.
What was it? It's painful?
Yeah.
Welcome to 20 years of my life. So thank you very much. I'm going to give you each. Yeah, give them a big round of applause. This is Grata tea. It's lemongrass tea. It really soothes the nervous system. So whenever you're feeling restricted, whenever you're feeling painful, reach for your Grata tea, take a moment and breathe. So that's basically what it's like. It sucks. Plain and simple. So we've done the exercise, so that's right. Okay, so this is the Pizza Hut debacle. All you can eat is not a challenge. This was one of my first turning points in my life. I was 20 at the time, so my father had already been passed for at least a year and a half. And I went to Pizza Hut. I was probably at least 110 kilos. And you know what happens when you overeat? How do you feel? Yeah, you feel a bit nasty. Can you imagine if I saw the sign that said all you can eat and I went in there, an absolute lover of cheese and food and high-fat food, and I literally ate myself stupid? Because by the end of it, you had to roll me out of the restaurant and I was still trying to grab for more. It was just horrific. Now, the thing is that was a very major turning point for me, because that was the day of my first anxiety attack. So what had happened was I had a massive allergic reaction to too much processed food. I mean, at the end of the day, you are what you eat, right? So if you're eating lots of processed food, that's what was happening to me. So I was 20, anxiety attack, all of a sudden I'm having heart palpitations and freaking out, and I thought that I was dying of a heart problem. So I thought the story of myself better change, and that's when I started to rewrite it. However, I kind of went the other way instead, and I became a little bit obsessed. So we're going to do some maths. This is me. I was 110 kilos, or a size 22 to 24. You take 8 months of my life and you starve me down, I ended up at 42 kilos. I was plagued with anxiety, depression and anorexia. I lost my confidence, my muscle tone, my mind, and my boobs looked like pikelets with a raisin on the end. True story. It was ridiculous. And do you think being that skinny made me any happier? Not at all. It was really dumb. And in fact, I thought, if I'm really skinny, it'd be good for my burgeoning acting career in film and television. But with that, I lost my personality. And booking agents don't want you if you don't have your sparkle. So, life sucked. I wanted to exit the planet. I spent at least 15 years like this, numb and asleep. I couldn't get any help. There was no help for me. So basically through that period, I read and studied everything I could to see if I could work it out for myself. So part of my work was some of the writings that my father did before he passed away. He wrote probably 30 books about health and wellness. So I started studying those. I started looking at things like the law of attraction. I started looking at health and wellness, the way the mind affects the body. I learnt the work of Louise Hay, Jack Canfield, all the things you might read in The Secret, that basically you are what you think. Until I had this moment a few years ago. So I went from, over the last sort of 15 to 20 years, I moved regularly between a size 10 and a size 18, which is really bad for your health. And a few years ago, I was sitting in Albany, in Albany in an extremely toxic relationship because I still had no sense of self-value. I still felt really stink about myself and thought, I'm just going to sit here and eat some chippies and watch Ellen, because who doesn't want to do that, right? And these two little girls came on the screen. This is Sophia, Grace and Rosie, and they are a bundle of energy. They are abundant in joy. They have so much fun. And I looked at this little girl and I thought, oh my God, that reminds me of me. And then I said to myself, where the hell have I gone? So I got myself up off the couch and I looked myself in the mirror and right into my eyes. And I thought, wow, I'm size 18 at this stage. I don't feel so good. What am I going to do about it? And that was the biggest turning point of my life. Toxic relationship, extremely abusive as well. And so I decided I needed to write a new story. So think of your brain as a library. It houses thousands of stories that we have read, seen, heard, or experienced. And each story has a theme. A bit like Harry McCleary is about going out and exploring the big world and know that you've got somewhere safe to come home to. A belief is just a story we continue to tell ourselves. So of course, what was my story most of my youth? Elephants don't make mice. I'm just fat anyway. It doesn't matter. I can't do anything about it. I was lying to myself. And effectively, every time I told that story, I was playing Chinese whispers with myself. So what stories are in your library?